Have you ever found yourself saying yes when every part of you wanted to say no? Or kept quiet just to avoid rocking the boat? Even though you felt something deep inside telling you to speak up? If you're nodding your head, you're not alone. Especially after 60, so many of us still feel that old habit creeping in. The need for approval. From our kids, our friends, even from people we hardly know. It's understandable. For decades, we've lived for others, as parents, partners, colleagues, caregivers. We've made sacrifices, kept peace, avoided conflict. And somewhere along the way, we were taught, sometimes directly, sometimes quietly, that being liked was the same as being worthy. But here's the truth. After 60, your life belongs to you. And if you're constantly worried about what others think, it's hard to feel proud of who you are. That's where self-respect comes in. And it doesn't come from applause. It comes from alignment. From living in a way that matches your values, your truth, your boundaries. In this video, we're talking about something deeply freeing: how to stop seeking approval and start reclaiming the self-respect that's been waiting for you all along. And it starts, surprisingly, not with others, but with you. Let's begin with something simple but powerful. Noticing when you're shrinking. You know those moments. You want to say something honest or do something different, but you feel yourself pull back. Maybe it's with your adult children, when you're afraid of sounding out of touch. Or with a doctor, when you hesitate to ask a question because you don't want to seem difficult. That shrinking, that quiet override of your voice, is a sign that approval is still in the driver's seat. One small shift you can make today is this. Pause and ask yourself, what would I do if I didn't care what they thought? That single question has helped so many people wake up to the automatic ways they've been silencing themselves. And the more you ask it, the more you'll hear your own voice again. Another key piece is protecting your time. After 60, time becomes even more precious. But how often do we still say yes to things we don't want to do? Whether it's a family obligation, an invitation out of guilt, or staying in touch with someone who drains us. This is the age to honor your calendar as a reflection of your priorities. Your peace matters. If something costs your peace, it's probably too expensive. Learning to say no kindly but firmly is an act of self-respect. And no, you don't have to explain or justify every boundary. That doesn't work for me is a complete sentence. It's polite. It's clear. And most importantly, it's yours. This doesn't mean cutting people off or becoming cold. It means showing up as your authentic self. It means not betraying your values just to be liked. And yes, it might ruffle a few feathers. But your job isn't to carry other people's comfort at the cost of your dignity. Now, let's talk about appearance for a moment, because this one hits close to home for many. Somewhere along the line, society decided that aging was something to hide, that gray hair should be dyed, wrinkles erased, softness tightened. But you know what's beautiful? A face that tells a story. A body that's carried decades of love, strength, and survival. The most powerful approval you'll ever need is your own. Stand in front of a mirror and notice one feature you've always hidden or criticized. Then thank it, out loud. It might feel silly, but it's a practice of kindness toward yourself. And you deserve kindness. The truth is, when you stop chasing validation from others, something incredible happens. You make space to reconnect with you, with your desires, your preferences, your opinions. You remember what it feels like to trust your gut. You don't need everyone to understand you. You just need to understand yourself. And once you do, respect follows. It may feel unfamiliar at first, especially if you've spent a lifetime caring for others. But that's okay. You're not starting over. You're coming home. Now that we've uncovered some of these approval patterns and explored how they show up in daily life, let's keep going. because there are more ways to take your power back. And it starts with what you say to yourself. If we want to stop seeking approval from everyone else, we have to start listening to someone we've ignored for too long, ourselves. And that begins with the voice inside your head. You know the one. It's the one that says, "You're too old to try something new," or "Don't cause trouble," or "They'll be upset if you say how you really feel." That voice, it's not truth, it's training. Over time, those little internal scripts become part of our thinking, and without even realizing it, we let them dictate how we show up. But here's the good news. Just because you've been taught something doesn't mean you have to keep believing it. Let's say you catch yourself thinking, "I should call them even though I don't want to." Ask yourself, who taught you that your own comfort matters less than someone else's feelings? Where did that belief come from? Was it your upbringing? A past relationship? A culture that prizes selflessness, especially in women? Whatever the source, it's not too late to rewrite that script. And it doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose stillness, decline politely, not reply right away. Let the discomfort sit without rushing to fix it. That's self-respect in action. Another powerful step? Surround yourself with people who support the real you. Not the version of you that says yes all the time. Not the one who keeps the peace. The one who has opinions, boundaries, dreams. It might surprise you how many people will admire your honesty when you start showing up without the mask of politeness. And for those who don't? That's information. If someone only liked the version of you that stayed quiet or compliant, then their approval wasn't real. It was conditional. You deserve better than that. Let's pause here and talk about confidence. Because for a lot of people, especially after 60, confidence can start to feel like something you used to have. But confidence doesn't come from doing everything right. It comes from choosing your truth, even when it's hard. Think about this. Have you ever left a conversation wishing you'd spoken up? That sinking, tight feeling in your chest? That's not shame. That's self-betrayal. And the longer you ignore your voice, the harder it gets to find. But the moment you do speak up, even just once, that muscle starts to return. Let's say your adult children are making decisions about your home or schedule without asking. You feel uncomfortable, but you don't say anything because you don't want to cause tension. Instead, try this. "I appreciate everything you do for me, but I'd like to be part of the conversation." It's firm, but kind. You're not rejecting them. You're inviting respect. And speaking of family, sometimes the hardest people to stop pleasing are the ones closest to us. Maybe you've always been the easy one, the one who smooths things over, who shows up without asking for much. But after 60, it's not selfish to ask for what you need. It's necessary. Your presence is not just valuable, it's vital. And your comfort matters too. Here's something small but powerful you can try today. Choose one moment, just one, where you usually give in and do the opposite. Maybe you skip a call when you're tired. Maybe you say no to a favor that drains you. Maybe you wear what you want instead of what feels acceptable. These little rebellions aren't rude. They're revolutionary, because they remind you that your life belongs to you. And that brings us to one of the most overlooked sources of approval: social expectations. What does the world tell people over 60 to do? Slow down, fade into the background. Retire quietly. Be agreeable. Don't make waves. But that narrative isn't yours unless you choose it. If you still have energy, purpose, opinions, and passion, use them. You don't need to become someone else to be respected. You just need to stop apologizing for who you are. It's okay to have lived a whole life in service to others, but it's also okay to live this next chapter in service to yourself. Now that we've talked about your voice, your boundaries, and the pressure to please, it's time to dive into something even deeper. Because once you start letting go of the need for approval, something else begins to rise in its place: clarity. And that clarity changes everything. Clarity isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It arrives quietly, like light through a window you didn't realize was open. And once it's there, you start to see things differently, especially yourself. When you let go of needing everyone's approval, you stop bending. You stop twisting yourself into shapes that make other people comfortable. You begin to stand tall in your own truth. And that truth is powerful. Let's talk about something many people rarely admit out loud: resentment. Over the years, when you've given too much, said yes too often, kept the peace at your own expense, it builds. Even if you tell yourself you're being nice, your body knows the difference. You might feel drained, unmotivated, quietly angry. That's not because you're difficult. It's because your boundaries have been crossed too many times. But here's the secret no one told us growing up. Resentment is not a failure of kindness. It's a signal of self-neglect. It's your inner self tapping you on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, what about me?" That's where your power lives. So the next time you feel resentment bubbling up, pause. Don't shove it down. Listen to it. What is it asking for? More rest? More honesty? More space? Whatever it is, that's where you begin. Let's be real. Breaking free from the need for approval isn't easy. It can feel scary, unfamiliar, especially if you've built your identity around being helpful, selfless, or agreeable. You might worry, if I change, will they still love me? But here's the truth. The people who love you for who you are will celebrate that shift. And those who loved you for what you gave them, well, that says more about them than it does about you. Now let's shift to one more practice that can change everything: giving yourself the approval you've been waiting for from others. That means speaking to yourself like someone you love. It means catching those little self-criticisms: "I should have known better," "I'm too late," "I don't matter," and replacing them with something real. You've lived, you've learned, you've survived more than you let on. That deserves your respect. Try this. At the end of the day, name one thing you're proud of. Not for anyone else, just for you. Maybe you went for a walk. Maybe you made a hard decision. Maybe you finally said no and meant it. Those are victories, and they count. You're not defined by your role in someone else's story. You're the author of your own. And at this stage in life, your wisdom, your boundaries, your honesty, that's your strength. You don't need to be flashy to be powerful. You just need to be consistent. One moment of self-respect leads to the next, then another, until one day you realize you're not seeking approval anymore. You're building a life you actually want. So if you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever worried that speaking your mind would make people turn away, I want you to know this: your voice still matters. Your presence still shapes the world around you. You don't need everyone to clap. You just need to show up fully as yourself. Now, take a deep breath. Let's go over what we've uncovered, not to repeat, but to remember. You've seen how saying no without guilt is a form of self-respect. You've learned to trust the quiet signals inside you, the ones that say, "This doesn't feel right." You've recognized the power of surrounding yourself with people who celebrate your honesty. You've begun to speak to yourself with the same compassion you've offered others for years. These aren't just ideas, they're practices, and the more you do them, the more natural they become. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you who to be. You've always been enough. You've always been worthy. And now, you finally get to live like it. So if this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. What's one area of your life where you're ready to stop shrinking and start standing tall? And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I've got more content just like this: practical, honest, and made with you in mind. Here's to living your best life at any age. Here's to you,